Here we are with the third video in the series, and in this one I really want to show you some of the specific techniques I use in order to hit that 301 number and that I've been training other people with to really increase the numbers. Now, wherever you're at, you're able to get that better. Basically, there's two ways to get there. One, by improving your strength and conditioning so you're able to do more. The other aspect is improving your technique. And these really go hand in hand and allow you to get the best results, whether you're trying to put up some number just because that's a goal of yours, you just want more speed and explosiveness, or you want to lose weight. Regardless of your goal, by improving your technique, you can further improve your conditioning and get better results from it. The key point is very slight changes in your technique can make a big difference. The truth is that a lot of people, if you actually go with certain techniques, you're not going to be able to get the same results as someone with a different technique. And there are different techniques for different purposes. As I've emphasized a lot already, speed is very important, so I've adapted some of these techniques specifically in order to be able to go faster, as you're going to see. But before we get to that, I want to address one of the biggest questions I get is how do you avoid tearing up the hands when doing the kettlebell snatches? You know, it's really not that hard to do. There's a couple components to it. One is how you actually snatch the kettlebell. On doing the downswing, how you move the kettlebell so that it's not catching and tearing on the calluses. And the other aspect along with that is actually conditioning and building up your hands. If you go for a kettlebell snatch test without having trained with kettlebells and all of a sudden you just do 10 minutes and try to go for as many reps as possible, there's a pretty high likelihood that you may end up tearing your hands. That's because they're not conditioned to it. But if you're regularly working on kettlebell swings and the snatches, they're going to build up the toughness of your hands, not just the hand strength, but the actual toughness of the skin, thus making skin tears not happen anymore. If you get into a routine with this where you're doing it regularly at least once a week, then it isn't really a problem. But along with that, you also have the technique, which I want to show you right now. The key point in sparing the hands is to get the kettlebell from the top position when you have it at the lockout, where it's going to be coming across the hand, and at the bottom position, we want it over the fingertips. What you want to avoid is having it rest against here because the calluses build up from doing any sort of weightlifting. And if the kettlebell is sliding just straight across the palm, after doing many reps like this, the friction is going to build up and then you can build those blood blisters and end up tearing the hands. So instead, we want to avoid that. And the way to do that is to actually get the kettlebell to jump from this part of the palm into the fingers on the next part. This is much easier to do with a lighter kettlebell in order to practice a specific groove to get that technique down before moving on to a heavier rep. So here you have it in the upper position. When you're lowering the kettlebell, and you can do this with the castaway as well as a bit with the corkscrew movement, when you're about here, you notice the kettlebell is at the bottom part of the hand. Then you're kind of switching it over and grabbing it with just the fingertips. You'll see it's not held here where all that pressure is down on the calluses and it's not moving there. It's actually jumping over them as you come across. Going as slow as I can here, I'll also slow it down on film so that you can look at it. From the side. In this next segment, working with a man and showing him some of the techniques for the kettlebell snatch that you can learn from. Specifically, what we're going to address here is with the lockout portion, holding the kettlebell up high. You may have noticed how I was holding it before, but here I go into some of the explanation of how you want to do it differently than a lot of people are doing, holding the kettlebell up there. First of all, it's really good to work with a light belt when you're trying to work on technique. I mean, we could do this, but then it's going to be much harder. I know because with a lot of technique, it takes like fine manipulation. One of the parts we'll talk about is the lockout position, getting the belt in there. You actually want to kind of shift it, so we'll start with that. position, this is how you are. It's not bad, but it can be a little better. You actually want to get the kettlebell handle coming across the palm so that this end part is right over the base of the palm on the pinky side. This point actually makes your lockout a little stronger. You can keep the hand open. This way also you're relaxing the hand here, so when you're doing higher reps, you know, the grip's not starting to go. So in order to get it here, I mean, it's one thing to make sure that you don't knock the hand, but actually when you're doing that little punch through action, that's when you want to shift your hand to get it into this spot.
There's a little bit of a wrist rotation.
So this just takes some practice, and once again, it's really good to train this with the hand, with the light belt. So stay up here, so you want to get it like that. It takes some practice to be able to get this. There you go. Okay, go ahead and set that. One piece of this, in order to actually get into that position, you basically have to let go of the belt. You're not really removing your hand from it. But once you're doing that, in this whole top portion, the kettlebell is really floating here, so you're able to then move your hand to where you want it to be. If you're trying to grip the belt the whole time, then it's gonna, one, not really get to that position, but also then hurt if you try to mess up. So from there, try to be real slow. So. Try with the other hand. And the wrist should be straight up at the lockout. So if it's bending back, you're placing stress on the wrist, which will teach you. Right. There you go, you're doing it now.
Don't you know, do it better with the left, do it with the right.
This next segment is with my friend Tyler, where I give you one of the very top points I have as far as going further with the kettlebell snatch. And that's the difference between a squatting style of a swinger snatch versus a hinging style of a swinger snatch. Check it out. Alright, so here I am with my friend Tyler, and I'm just going to give him a few advanced tips so that he's going to be able to dominate the kettlebell snatch better. He recently did the test to see where he's at 201, is that correct? 203 in 10 minutes, one hand switches. So he's been lifting kettlebells for many years already, a fairly advanced kettlebell lifter, but with anyone pretty much, just a few subtle techniques can make a lot of difference in the training and then doing the test. So first off, let's just see what you got.
Okay. How many reps are we doing?
Just do like five and something.
Okay.
Good job. Okay. Definitely, I completely recommend that when you're actually working on changing your technique, go with a lighter bell, because it's much easier to then change it up, especially when working with, trying to do some things with the grip. The main thing I'd say for you in order to make it so that you can go faster with the movement with the swings and snatches, it's a bit of a squat movement, it's also a bit of a hinge. So you can do the snatch completely hinging, not even really bending the legs, or you can do the squats, I know where you're coming like this. What's actually faster when you're doing this is more of the hinging style. You still want to bend the legs a little bit, but notice when the kettlebell's here, you're not really squatting down as far. The kettlebell only has to go that distance versus when you squat down more, the kettlebell has, another foot or so to go. So when you're doing this, keep the kettlebell on the downswing close to the crotch. Obviously you don't want to hit yourself there, but more range. And with that, your upper body's going to come forward more. As opposed to this. You see how much slower that is?
Right. So go for more of a hinge.
Right.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Feels a little better. Feels a little quicker.
Now, the last couple of reps, we were getting back to the squat. Try some with this one.
Okay.
It's hard to compare, when you're doing that first one, and obviously you're going to be faster with the latter rep.
Ladder kettlebell.
Yeah,
That's a little bit faster.
Yeah.
That's a little bit minimizing the knee bend.
So that's a main thing. Depending on people, some people favor squatting more, some people favor Indian, but for the reasons I already mentioned, you don't have as far to travel with a higher position. Just by using these 3 techniques alone, you're going to be able to go further with your kettlebell snatch training. Of course, I have a whole lot more to show you. There's much more that goes into being able to dominate the kettlebell snatch. That's why I put together a DVD set called Kettlebell Snatch Domination. This video's already gotten long. I really just wanted to focus on the techniques here, but in the next video I have for you, I'm going to give you all the details, how you can get kettlebell snatch domination, and go further with this, and everything I'm calling on top of that. So stay tuned for that next video, and until then, incorporate these techniques into your training.